Yes, this team is, first of all, they spanked us in exhibition. And the way we came in, I thought it was one of our worst exhibition games of the preseason. And they just came in and just took us to the woodshed. And then now we come in and again, you can't feel sorry for anybody because they're a very talented team. They had 2 tough road games, one against Atlanta and one against Memphis. But again, I read words. Some of them said this is a must-win for them, and again, it's a must-win for us. So, I think our guys got to come in, and the most important thing is coming in the first quarter. This team historically has come out in the first quarter with guns a-blazing. They come out like a track meet, so we've got to come out with our disposition ready to go in the first quarter.
Do you think DeMar can keep up the pace that he's going, and do you want him to stay at that level?
Well, yeah, no question. I hope he has it for 80 how many more games we have. But, again, I think the consistency and our balance, we need to get more from our second unit, more scoring, and I think that'll come. But I'm always concerned about our offense, our spacing, our passing, and our screening. But most of all, I'm just as concerned about our defense on both units. I think that's the most important thing. We've got to keep that at a high level, more so than concerned about, scoring the ball.
You talked about that improved spacing yesterday or the other day. Where is that coming from? Like, where are you seeing it most?
Well, again, Pascal's learning what teams are doing with him. Kind of cheating off of him a little bit. So he learned after the first game where to go. Jakob is learning where to space to keep the defense legal. You just don't stand there by the lane and help them to use their 2-9. So those little things, those couple of steps are so important as far as spacing is concerned. And I think that's important with especially the big guys, our young guys, our rookies, that learn to understand where to be, what to do when DeMar or Kyle has the ball or if JV has the ball in the post.
Talk to Kyle about this. A lot has been made about the backcourt matchup, but there's a lot of areas on this Washington roster that can give some difficulty to deal with. What are some of the concerns you have going into this game?
Go 1 through 5. I mean, you go right down the lineup, Sherm. Gortat probably is one of the smartest players in the NBA as far as sealing you in transition, screening, pushing you off, getting to his sweet spot. Morris is a dynamic one-on-one player that knows how to get his own shot. Otto Porter has made a lot out of his career. I mean, he's one of the most versatile, wings or big wings in the league with his length defensively, the way he runs the floor. They had 10 back cuts against us in exhibition, which is unheard of. I don't know if they could come in and do it with us without us on the defensive end and get 10 back cut layups. So that right there tells you Porter's cutting, Oubre's cutting. He's an improved player. So they're doing a good job with what they're doing against us, and so you can go right down the list of guys that can really hurt you other than Beal and Wall.
You talked about DeMar and this Washington team and how they get off to quick starts. DeMar has, for the first few games of the season, gotten off to quicker starts than we've seen in the past. What do you attribute that to?
Well, experience more than anything. We've seen DeMar grow up right in front of our eyes, and I think we're all surprised, not surprised by it, but we're impressed by it. And again, as Chris mentioned, the consistency and the growth has to be consistent with it. It's a long season, but he has grown so much as a man, as a player. He's done a great job with his body, and I just think his confidence level after being on the Olympic team is at an all-time high. And just this is what 7th year, so whatever it is in the league. So he's grown as a basketball player, and we're seeing it right in front of us.
You think he's using those things like the Sports Illustrated ranking and stuff? You think that's motivating him?
You'd have to ask him. I just see him as an improved player. Again, I don't know if that is, and I don't think, I think DeMar is deeper than having just one article to push him and drive him. I think just his overall improvement is a motivating factor for him more than anything else, Chris.
How have you seen the matchup of these two backcourts evolve over the last few seasons?
Well, just the growth of both groups. Beal has grown as a player, Wall has grown as a player, DeMar has grown as a player, Kyle. You can just see both backcourts growing up with experience, and Wall understanding how to use his speed and quickness, and Beal just a scientist as far as getting his own shot, coming off screens. And then DeMar, as we mentioned, DeMar and Kyle being Olympians and taking that experience and growing from that. So both backcourts are growing almost at the same pace, for both teams.
Is it harder to scout at this point in the season when you've only got 3 games to look at?
No, you know teams, players more so than anything else. Tendencies, coaching tendencies. Scotty is running a lot of the same stuff he ran in Oklahoma City. So we're not going to change a lot. It may change a little bit because of personnel. So we're going a lot on tendencies, and we watched a lot of the preseason. So you go on that too. So it's not just the first game. You understand what a guy's philosophy is, what they did in preseason, what they did, in the first couple of games, kind of added all together.
Scott in OKC, I mean, his reputation wasn't a defensive guy, but here he seems to want to make that his reputation.
Yeah,
do you see that as part of the early struggles?
Yeah, well, I think that's all of us. We always want to work on your weaknesses, and people doubt you on one thing. But again, Scotty Brooks is a good basketball coach all around, just not a D. I think a lot of it is who you have. Personnel dictates a lot. Mm-hmm. We get criticized here for not moving the ball, but I would say we have one of the most dynamic one-on-one, 2 of the most dynamic one-on-one players in the league. So our assists are never going to be at a high level. So again, when you criticize one area of a guy's coaching ability, it's usually personnel driven more than anything else.
Got it. So are you closer to getting Bebe back? Do you know yet?
We'll see. He went through shoot around this morning, so we'll see how he feels this afternoon.